Both Trump and Clinton needed to rally support among undecided voters during last night's debate, with the race for the White House essentially deadlocked in crucial swing states. Specifically, they've been talking about white, educated, suburban men, but both, really, white, educated suburbanites. So did either candidate sway people who have not yet made up their minds? We have new analysis from the Wall Street Journal on how they did. Let's bring in Glenn Hall, the U.S. editor for the Journal. This is out today and at WSJ.com. What does it show? Well,
it's pretty much no change, right? They both scored well with their base, maybe made some early inroads, but no definitive momentous movements. We talked to voters in many swing states, Pennsylvania, Florida, elsewhere. We talked to Republican strategists, Democrat strategists. Everybody on both sides of the aisle agreed that it wasn't the turning point for undecided voters.
It's not as if the people who've been surveyed didn't suggest that there's a winner and a loser. Almost across the board, across most demographics, in most quadrants, the consensus was that Hillary Clinton, quote, won the debate, which in and of itself doesn't really do anything. You have to move voters who hadn't already made up their minds, and that's the essential question today. Did anything that happened last night move any voters who were going to decide this in the end? For instance, in the suburbs of Philadelphia.
Right. What we saw there in Philadelphia and elsewhere, we were talking to suburban women. We found that there might have been some moments where Hillary Clinton got under Donald Trump's skin and allowed him to sort of express and reminded voters of things that he's expressed in the past about women that were unflattering, and he doubled down on some of those expressions, talking about Rosie O'Donnell, talking about Miss Universe, you know, those instances where he was referring to their weight and other things, unflatteringly reminding some voters, especially suburban women, that he has not always been a friend to women in his commentary.
This women thing's been going on a long time. Right. It dates back to Megyn Kelly and that debate. But there's a new audience out there. Everybody hasn't been following this the way many of our viewers have, and certainly the way all of us have for the past 18 months or so. This women thing is going to be new to some people. You have to wonder if a suburban, educated white woman, which is the group we've been talking about, that the analysts say are most critical, if a suburban white woman isn't going to see this talk about Miss Universe and having gained weight and calling her, I mean, Miss Piggy, and then calling her Miss Housekeeper, if that's going to fly very well. I mean, if you're new to this sort of Trump yakety yak, that could be unusual. You don't usually hear that from politicians.
Yes, and you know, you saw during the debate, here was Trump trying to look more presidential, holding himself back, but you know, at this moment, Hillary got under his skin, and he even said so today in some of his follow-up interviews. Yeah, that was a moment where he got very defensive and he fell back on some of those things. That was an opportunity for him to change that narrative, and he wasn't able to do it.
He didn't start that way. For the first 15 or 20 minutes, he was like scripted Donald Trump, it seemed like.
That's right.
Secretary Clinton asked her if he could call her that, was, you know, very civil.
And sort of respectful.
Yeah, very respectful. Sort of like any other politician we've been seeing for cycle after cycle after cycle. Because clearly that's what had been drummed into him by those who have been helping with him. There's no doubt about that.
I think at the beginning he was very strong. He made really good economic points. He made good contrast between how he would cut taxes, how Hillary Clinton would raise taxes.
And then he proved all of her points. Then he came up and proved all of her points. And I've seen a lot of analysis today that suggests, look, he knew what he was supposed to do.
Right.
He just, you know, he's like that kid. I saw one analyst say, he's like that kid who you tell, don't touch that hot stove because it will burn you. And he's got to go touch that hot stove. And but now he's touched it.
Yeah.
And now he realizes, oh, he was right. It burns me. I can't do that again. So you wonder if next time, the things that were his Achilles heel this time, if he can't correct them.
Well, several of the strategists, including Republican strategists that we spoke to, have said that, you know, whenever he gets a feeling of being under attack, he can't seem to help himself but to lash out, and he can't hold it back too long. And that's when he makes those mistakes. He goes off script. And that was the challenge that we saw him go through last night. He couldn't hold back after he felt like he was under attack a few times, so he started to reverse and hit his attacks. They just weren't as effective. Hillary's practice and her debate preparation obviously were on display last night in a way, and we'll see if Donald Trump decides he needs to prepare in a different way for the next one.
They're also very different people with very different backgrounds and very different life experiences.
And that may play to his favor because many people who like him, and maybe even some who aren't sure, felt that there was a genuineness to how he was coming across rather than the scriptedness that they saw from Hillary Clinton. We saw that in some of the after-debate commentary we did as well.
I just can't see genuinely Miss Piggy and genuinely Miss Housekeeper, and just can't see that flying. If that's your genuine, you need to come up with something else.
Well, fair.
If you want anything. Thank you. It's good to see you. By the way, that great analysis at WSJ.com, and it's available right now. Our partners downstairs. Good to see you.